Howdy, everybody. It's me, Bob Harris, Senior Editor of FootballDiehards.com. Time for your Week 14 injury review, preview, update, overview, the thing we like to do every Saturday to get you up to speed on all the injured skill players that you might need to have on your radar as you're making decisions heading into Sunday's games. So we'll do that. And remember, I'm recording this at about 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So we're about 2 hours from the deadline to activate players from IR. We have a pretty good idea what's going on, and I'll touch on those. But you'll need to check the late-breaking update section of the site for any changes that happen. So listen in and then go check the late-breaking update section. Or, even better, the FSP staff cheat sheet. The staff rankings will have links to all the latest information that we have on these players. Also, their position on the rankings will probably be indicative of anything going wrong or anything you need to watch for as kickoff draws near. Also, Casey Joyner's injury report /sit start is available. The Saturday edition, he'll do a Sunday update. That digs a little deeper, looks at some of the offensive line and defensive injuries that might have an impact on the players you're interested in. So with that, we'll dive in. And early afternoon kickoff window, we'll start with the Dallas Cowboys at Washington. Tony Pollard listed as questionable, has a torn plantar fascia, the issue at the bottom of his foot. Injured it on his long touchdown run last week. He is questionable and a true game time decision. The torn plantar fascia is like slightly better. The complete tear is something that players can work through. So he's not ruled out, but it's something to watch. With Ezekiel Elliott dealing with a knee injury, that's kind of been obviously a limiting factor for him. Maybe he gets a little more volume in this game if Pollard doesn't go. Corey Clement would be next man up. Noah Brown has been ruled out with a groin injury, placed on IR. He'll be out at least 3 weeks. On the other side of the ball, J.D. McKissic is listed as questionable with a concussion. Curtis Samuel questionable with the ongoing groin issue. And Logan Thomas is done for the year. He was placed on IR with the knee injury he suffered last week. Ricky Seals-Jones is back off the injury report. John Bates also there to chip in at tight end, but Seals-Jones was the primary guy when Thomas was out on IR early this season. So the expectation is, if not this week, as we head into the stretch run, Seals-Jones will effectively take back over as the starter. And when he was in earlier, he was getting 90+% of the snaps, so had a sufficient role. McKissic, we'll know if he's cleared sometime in advance of the game. Might take all the way up until the inactive window. Either way, Antonio Gibson's been getting great volume over the last month. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and Gibson's a big reason why. McKissic will still have a role if he plays, but Gibson will be the leading piece. Curtis Samuel, been pretty much a non-factor. He's played 4 games this season. The 2 most recent, the last 2 games, he hasn't been a big factor in. Hard to imagine you're relying on him at this point. The Las Vegas Raiders at Kansas City. Darren Waller is listed as has been ruled out again. Second straight week he'll miss time with his back and knee issues. Jalen Richard on COVID reserve. Kenyon Drake on IR. Foster Moreau will get another shot. It was disappointing last week. He'll probably come back and go gangbusters this week in a big game against Kansas City. At Kansas City, by the way. So watch for that. Josh Jacobs, a great play in this one as well. For the Cleveland Browns hosting the Baltimore Ravens, Anthony Schwartz, Harrison Bryant, David Njoku all out. Schwartz, the ongoing concussion issue, the rookie receiver. Bryant has an ankle injury that might cost him the rest of the year. There's talk about him going on IR. And David Njoku is on the reserve COVID list. He will not play this week. Austin Hooper is the only tight end in the mix this week. That might be a plus for him in a great matchup. Expect a heavy dose of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I know they struggled in the last game just 2 weeks ago, right before the bye. They played Baltimore. Wasn't great for either of those guys. Look for them to try to course correct that, the Cleveland coaching staff. The Seattle Seahawks at the Houston Texans. Travis Homer and Adrian Peterson will not play. Homer's been ruled out. Peterson is not on the injury report because he's not on the roster. He's on the practice squad. Last week he was elevated on Saturday. This week he will not be. So it will be Alex Collins, who was removed from the injury report, as was DK Metcalf, and also Rashad Penny. Pete Carroll keeps talking up Rashad Penny. Believe it when you see it, people. On the other side of the ball, we have a quarterback change. Davis Mills takes over for Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Tyrod Taylor not happy about it. I don't know if the rest of us should be any more happy about it. Brandon Cooks and Brevin Jordan, both listed as questionable. Back issue for Cooks. He was added on Friday. Not a good sign. And for Jordan, it's been a hand injury. His role has been increasing in recent weeks, but you have to wonder with Davis Mills back in if you really want to invest in any of these players. For the Tennessee Titans hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, Julio Jones will be activated according to by all accounts, multiple reports saying they are preparing to elevate him before the end of the thing. He's been practicing at the end of the deadline. He's been practicing all week, so expect him to return. You'll want to look at the site and verify that, but assuming he's good to go, he will be in the mix. And a great matchup, right? On the other side of the ball, everyone's good to go. James Robinson, well, everyone's not good to go. Urban Meyer has some issues. I'll have articles up on that overnight. But James Robinson has struggled the last few weeks, have been benched over for multiple series after fumbling. They kind of been some back and forth about whether he was actually benched or not. The end result was he didn't get enough time. And Trevor Lawrence came out this week and said he needs to be on the field, does James Robinson. So expect more work for him. The New Orleans Saints are at New York to play the Jets. There will be no Mark Ingram. He's on the COVID reserve list. So Alvin Kamara is back and off the injury report, reportedly fully healthy. Big article up on that on the site. Check into that. Taysom Hill also off the injury report. He will play as usual. Lil Jordan Humphrey, not okay. He was placed on the injury report Thursday with a hamstring injury. He is listed as questionable. Remember, Deontay Harris is out. He is on suspension. Started 3-game suspension. The team's leading receiver at this point. So that's a bit of an issue there. But Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara off the injury report, both ready to put in full games. They say on the other side of the ball, Tevin Coleman has been ruled out with a concussion. Corey Davis, done for the year. He's having core surgery or had core surgery this week. He was placed on IR. He will not return. Elijah Moore listed as questionable with a quad injury. That's not a good sign. We'll want to see what's going on. He's worked a little bit on a limited basis this week. Ryan Griffin, also the tight end, questionable as well. It'll be great. Moore has kind of emerged as a true playmaking threat. It's a tough matchup against the Saints for the backfield, for everybody involved, but we'd all be eager to play Moore if he's able to play. Hayden Hurst for the Atlanta at Carolina has been designated to return, has practiced this week. You'll want to watch to make sure. Don't know that you're need to dig it that deep in the Falcons roster for your fantasy goodness. The late afternoon window, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at San Francisco. Joe Mixon, T. Higgins listed as questionable. Both are expected to play. Mixon, if you remember, he hurt his neck in last week's game against the Chargers. Came back, finished that game without any issue. This week, he's been sidelined by an illness. He hasn't practiced all week. Still, Zach Taylor expects him to play. The same with T. Higgins, limited by an ankle. He missed a play or two last week as well with his injury. Chris Evans, the running back, will miss another game. He's been ruled out. Most importantly, Joe Burrow. If you saw that game last week, dislocated right pinky finger. It's his throwing hand. It was an issue. He's been throwing in practice without any difficulty. He avoided injury designation this week. He is good to go. On the other side of the ball, Elijah Mitchell, not good to go. He has been ruled out with a concussion. Deebo Samuel has a chance. It sounds like a legitimate chance to play. He worked on a limited basis on Friday. Wasn't a full practice, so Kyle Shanahan kind of doesn't want anyone to get too excited, but acknowledge that he has a chance to get on the field Sunday. So that's something to watch. And by the way, with Mitchell out, Jeff Wilson Jr. seems to be the leading piece in this backfield. JaMychal Hasty also available, but there's no Trenton Cannon either. So, and Trey Sermon is on IR. So seems like a clear path at least to open the game for Jeff Wilson Jr., who has had a knee issue of his own early in the week. He was off the injury report by the end of the week. For the Los Angeles Chargers and the Giants, what a mess this game is. Austin Eckler listed as questionable with a ankle injury. No concerns expressed over his availability at all. Maybe that's because all the concern was focused on the receiving room, though, where Keenan Allen has been ruled out due to COVID. He will not play. He tested positive. He's been vaccinated, but it's a little too short of a turnaround for him to get back in. Mike Williams and Chris Harris Jr., the defensive back, both close contacts with Allen. So as close contacts, they have to test negative all week, and they have 5 days to get back in. It sounds like they're both heading for that. Mike Williams in particular, according to the various observers, he has been testing negative all week and seems like he is on track to play. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport just tweeted that shortly before I recorded this. So that's working in our favor, but it's something we'll have to watch going right up until kickoff to make sure Mike Williams is available. Keenan Allen, however, will not be. Same with Austin Eckler. On the other side of the ball, Daniel Jones ruled out again this week. The neck issue is ongoing. Don't know if it'll be season ending, but it will be this week ending. So Mike Glennon cleared from the concussion protocol. He's listed as questionable officially, but cleared to play, and he will play. Jake Fromm standing by behind him. Kenny Golladay listed as questionable with rib injury. Sterling Shepard could return from a 4-game absence. He's listed as questionable. Seems to be trending in the right way. Kadarius Toney, not. He has been ruled out with the oblique injury that he has. Also in the late afternoon window, the Denver Broncos hosting the Detroit Lions. This one's a mess as well. Melvin Gordon listed as questionable for this game. Seems likely to play. The question is how much of Javonte Williams' workload, the workload that he was so fantastic with against the Chiefs last week, will he retain? You would think some, but man, Melvin Gordon was a big big piece of this offense. It was a pretty even split going into that. So maybe dial back your expectations a little bit on Williams and hope for the best. On the other side of the ball, there is no DeAndre Swift. There is no Jamal Williams. Swift out with a shoulder injury. Jamal Williams out with on the COVID reserve list. That leaves Jamar Jefferson and Godwin Okebikwe. I can say it. Igwe-Bikwe. I'll spit it out. Are the two running backs on the roster. TJ Hawkinson listed as doubtful with a hand injury. So Brock Wright would be the next man up in that regard. Don't expect him to play. So pretty limited set of weapons for the Detroit Lions in that game. Sunday Night Football. Justin Fields returns to the starting lineup. And Andy Dalton is doubtful. No big deal there. It's going to be probably Nick Foles backing up. But Fields is back. David Montgomery off the injury report. Allen Robinson off the injury report. Both of those guys will play. And Robinson seems eager to go up against the Packers on that side of the ball for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers avoided injury designation. Devontae Adams, all those guys limited a little early in the week. Rodgers obviously not practicing on the toe until Friday, so he's good to go. They're all off the injury report. The only Packer on the injury report from the skilled player perspective is Randall Cobb, who has been ruled out. Sounds like he'll miss time. He had surgery, core muscle surgery himself, and maybe they're hoping to get him back for a playoff run. Monday Night Football, Daryl Henderson still limited by the quad. We'll get the injury report later today, Saturday. Watch for that on the site. On the other side of the ball, Zach Ertz has been limited by a shoulder injury. He seems likely to go. Chase Edmonds designated to return from IR. They won't have to activate him until Monday, so we won't know until Monday. In leagues where I have James Conner, I'm still playing James Conner just like I was before and hoping for the best there. I don't know how much we would expect from Edmonds in his first game back. So got that going for us. As for the Rams backfield, Sony Michel was fantastic last week. Wouldn't be surprising if he has a more robust role again this week, but we'll have to see with Henderson. He was active last week and didn't play at all, so maybe they will continue to preserve him. So there you have it. Once again, check the website, the late-breaking update section for anything that's new after I recorded this. Again, 2 p.m. Eastern time, so check articles after that. I've kind of caught you up to speed on everything up to that point. Check the staff rankings for a quick one-stop shop that shows you all the players, gives you links to all the latest articles, and kind of their spot on the rankings will reflect how we feel their likelihood of playing is. Also, check out Casey Joyner's sit-start injury report. Their Saturday update is up now. We'll have a Sunday update up early tomorrow morning to get you the latest. That digs a little deeper, looks at some of the skill players, some of the associated pieces, the defenses, etc., and some of the offensive line issues that might be a problem for the players you want to play. And check Brad Cruz's sit start as well. Great high-stakes player. We'll have Drew Phelps prop bets up, so that's kind of a useful tool for fantasy as well as for you legal sports gamblers. Tons of DFS content available from myself, Jamie Calandro, Jason Brady, Justin Linero, John Laub. You'll be able to catch his cash game line of scrimmage show video tonight. You can catch the replay of the Friday night lineup video with Jason and Jamie. And, of course, they'll do their pregame video with go over the ownership percentages, etc. Catch me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio 5 to 7 Saturday if you're listening to this before then. If it's like a little later, turn on NFL Radio. Mike Dempsey and I, Football Diehards, jump on NFL Radio from 8 to 11. And then Jeff Mans and myself will do the pregame show tomorrow. We'll have all the final injury designations, the inactive designations in each 90 minutes leading up to each kickoff window on the website. So check that out as well. And good luck in Week 14.